Wednesday.
You know what? Oh, I didn't even bring my hat. God damn it.
What?
Nah,
you don't have your
I
hat.
had my Bears hat on early today. Sorry.
All right. Alrighty then. We good? Yeah. All right.
Pretty good.
In 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody! It's time for another episode of Chicago 60 Podcast. This week we talk and revisit the minimum wage issue. This time we discuss the issues around cost of living in the city of Chicago.
Mayor Lightfoot is announcing her plan to stop suspending licenses due to parking tickets. Yes!
Ice, baby. Ice raids in Chicago. We're going to talk about it.
And of course, we always discuss the jag-off of the week.
That's right.
So, with that, it is now time for the
Podcast.
Let's go.
All right. Well, hey everybody, I'm your illustrious host, Justin J. Ward, and of course I have on my far left...
Hi, your illustrious other host, Stormy Norman.
And of course, in the middle, we got our reoccurring guest, member of the C60 crew,
This guy right here, this Ron
Russell. You should introduce yourself, I feel like, in the future.
You can say your own
I was
name.
about to, but you kind of,
I feel like
host say it.
of all the things we discussed about her, that we forgot to just discuss how you would introduce yourself.
Still new here, everybody. Figuring this out.
All right.
Just working this out.
All right. Well, we have an amazing podcast for you this week, folks. We revisit the minimum wage issue. Last 2 weeks ago, we discussed minimum wage and how it's affecting businesses and whatnot, but our favorite periodical, the Chicago Tribune, not a sponsor yet, surprisingly.
Shout out to
But hey, Chicago Tribune, we love you. You do some decent reporting on both sides, and there's good people at your place on both sides. On the left side of your building and on the right side of your building. All right. And, but anyway, I can't even. I'll probably cut this out, but it's just.
Yeah, it's those.
I'm just dying.
It's those earlier brews, huh?
Oh, I know. It's just, it's quite funny. Anywho, I stopped and restarted. They're not really a sponsor of ours yet, but there's another article in there talking about the cost of living in Chicago, so we want to talk about that. So let's get into that for a moment. Why not? Let's talk about that.
Oh, but before we start, if you are not drinking, you definitely should be.
Jesus! Of course.
I mean,
To the podcast.
To the podcast.
I was wondering when you was gonna bring that up. You see,
Thank
mine
you.
was like halfway done.
But if you
You're
don't
not
drink,
drinking.
that's okay.
That's right. If you don't want to, live your best life.
Hey.
We do not judge, only slightly, like every other human being.
Drink responsibly.
But this podcast is funnier when you're drinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Drink,
true.
drunk.
Anything's a little bit funnier when you're drinking.
Always.
But yes, but also this podcast. Hey, you know what I found out about the last week's podcast? If you listen to this podcast 1.5 times, every time I laugh, I sound like a really hyper squirrel on meth.
How do you know what hyper squirrels on meth sound like?
Don't ask me how I know things. Just know that I know them.
His backyard experiments.
Yes.
Meth.
Yes. Squirrels on meth.
Not
It's
weed.
a tragedy, but nobody cares. All right. Let's talk about this minimum wage problem. Billy Flores. Shout out to Billy Flores.
Shout out, Billy. What's up, man?
Hey.
What's up, Billy? Good to see you, man. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, Billy.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate
He
it.
was at training camp.
Yeah.
You might be at training camp on August 10th. We might see you there, Billy.
That's right.
We'll see. I don't know. Maybe not. Or we will. Who the fuck knows? All right. I'm going to cut out all that shit. Minimum wage.
Yeah.
Here we go. So, 2 weeks ago, we discussed minimum wage. We were talking about all those little businesses. Fabulous Freddy's Italian Eatery,
Fab Freddy's.
Yeah.
Fab Freddy's,
Fab Freddy.
and JP Graziano's, and
Tiago.
Tony Del at Big and Little's.
Just killing his name.
Yeah.
I still ain't been.
Butchered his
Yeah,
name.
I'm just gonna fuck it. Tony Dellis, and but now the Tribune came out with basically the other half of the argument, which is the cost of living. Okay, all right, let me get into this article if you can.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then because I have some thoughts,
Okay.
I can't wait.
and I can't wait to hear
Right.
your thoughts.
Can't wait to hear
Okay.
your thoughts.
So, the article is talking about the cost of living and how it's very expensive to live in the city of Chicago in general. Illinois will be at a $15 an hour minimum wage by 2025. Now, Chicago Alderman Sophia King of the 4th Ward introduced a bill at the city council.
Shout out to the 26. Man.
Yeah, the 4th Ward. It's like Game of Thrones up in here. Send a raven to the 4th Ward. Find out if Daenerys is in the 4th Ward. Are the Unsullied in the 4th Ward?
Right? Completely.
Summon them from the 4th Ward.
Stop.
Alright, sorry, I roll with it too much. Alright, so she introduced a bill. This is Sophia King of the 4th Ward. Introduced a bill at City Council to increase the minimum wage in Chicago to $15 basically by 2021. She's like, can we speed up this shit? And a lot of people are like, yeah. Now, here's, okay, so the Tribune article was less substantive in terms of facts this time around and very anecdotal and story based. Now, they centered around, I'm not going to reveal this woman's name. We will post the article throughout the week. You can read about her. I'm not going to give her name because I don't want to embarrass her. But they kind of centered the first part of the article on this woman. And she lives with her mom. She does not pay for utilities or cell phone. She has a degree. She was basically saying, she goes, where did I put the quote? But she basically said, yeah, it's easier for me because I don't have to pay anything or whatever, but it's still hard for me to pay the bills I have to pay. But then she states that she got a degree in gender studies. And she basically like, yeah, I'm not going to be like at Goldman Sachs, but it's still hard to pay for shit. So... but she got a degree in gender studies, so keep that as a little nugget, okay? Now, they did there is some substance stuff in here where they had an economist from the Economic Policy Institute, the EPI, this guy named David Cooper, and we will be posting the link to his study on the Facebook page. His argument is for raising the minimum wage. He basically says that more money that goes into workers' pockets will help stabilize the workforce and make workers want to stay at companies longer because they are going to feel more valued by having more money there. Okay. His research, this is David Cooper of the Economic Policy Institute. His research shows that many minimum wage workers would be lifted out of poverty and they could get closer to a typical worker salary, which is basically people who are in the services industry, things like that, who typically have higher salaries, typically like $50,000 plus. He also states that this would be very good for the Black and Hispanic communities. According to the Economic Policy Institute's budget calculator, a family in the city of Chicago needs a minimum of $18.56 per hour to pay for rent, utilities, transportation, and food per person. There's also been a lot of arguments for increasing subsidized housing and healthcare to help people pay for things. And according to an organization called Housing Action, I don't know why I'm doing quotation marks, but it's in my notes, so there you go. They looked at housing data, and we will post a link about that as well to show you what their research is. They state that people really need at least $23.31 per hour in order to really live what they say comfortably. Okay. So the minimum really is $18.56 according to David Cooper at the Economic Policy Institute. And Housing Action says if you want to live comfortably, whereas not paycheck to paycheck per se, you really need $23.31 in the state of Illinois. Not just in the city, but just in the state. Okay? Minimum wage was never meant to be a living wage. it was meant to basically be something to sustain you until you could find other forms of employment that would pay you more money. Because it's basically anybody could do this type of a job situation, right? According to the Congressional Budget Office, they said that an increase in minimum wage up to $15 would result in 1.3 million jobs lost once it was to be increased to that number. And increasing in wages, they argue, would increase costs, particularly for smaller businesses, which is what we discussed 2 podcast episodes ago. And with costs going up, this was a couple of talking points. Okay, so those are the main facts. So we've got an interesting story about this chick who's basically like, I got a degree in gender studies, and it's so hard. It's like, okay. Then we've got this data from the Economic Policy Institute where they're saying this is what we really need, so even $15 really isn't enough. And I believe your lady Tammy even left us a comment on the last podcast basically saying it's still not enough. Well, she is correct according to this data. And we also have the Congressional Budget Office saying that, okay, you can increase this, but the higher you increase minimum wage, the more overall jobs are going to be lost and the more businesses are going to be looking into automation and things like that, which is a key issue. But the main theme of this article was really about like cost of living in general. And I would agree that the cost of living in the city, just being a rentor in this city, is going up. So it does kind of, it does make it difficult to live in the city. I mean, like, should be expensive, man.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about everything that I've just kind of stated? I've got a couple of main thoughts here. Let me actually give you a question to get your thoughts. Is it the incompetence of government causing an increase in the costs? Because with by subsidizing so much everything with the increase, is that what's causing the problem, or is it something else? Like, why? Like, I mean, there's inflation and whatnot, obviously, but like increasing the taxes on gas, increasing property taxes, particularly in the city of Chicago, is that what's causing the minimum wage needing to be so high for people to just live? Should we be blaming our government in Chicago for these problems, or is there some other external factors that are not taken into play? What do you guys think?
You want to tackle it first?
I mean, depending on what neighborhood you're talking about, because you look at the neighborhoods and they're vastly different for living, but then the amount you're getting paid for your job kind of fits in that living gap. So like you can honestly look at housing on the south side, and you can get a 2-bedroom for about $700. And people there can either afford it or barely afford it because of the jobs in those areas not paying them enough to actually survive. Then you bump it up to somewhere on the north side where you're staying in a studio for about $1,000, but you can barely keep a hold of it because you're tackling either $13 or more an hour to try to survive it all. Empty storefronts everywhere. So the owners don't really care if any businesses are in those. They get paid anyway. So I would say it's our local government. It's our wards. It's every different little place that you've got that won't support the individuals, the residents, and the people in the city getting paid more money, stopping the businesses from going to automated. And the price of living, the cost of living, rent's expensive.
Rent's expensive.
Rent's very expensive.
So
even here in Albany Park where I live, it's like I'm paying a lot for this 1-bedroom, 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and then getting a garage space for my new car that I'm gonna be getting very soon. Like it ain't cheap, And if I want to move down more south and continue to live on my own in a 1-bedroom, it's going to be even more expensive.
Yep. Location.
Well, I mean, that's one thing is cities in general, they've done studies on this where real estate in cities is more expensive just because of the location of being in a city around so much stuff going on. You could, I mean, I could theoretically be paying $200 to $300 less and have a house that I, I'm paying to own and have, a car or whatever. I could be doing that. I choose to live in the city because I want to be closer to city things to pursue what we're doing here, things like that. So it's a lifestyle choice. But is that kind of ridiculous? It's kind of the question. Because consider this chick. Now, okay, this is one thing I have a bit of contention with. She goes, well, I have a gender studies degree. Well,
do you even have a degree?
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. That's my one point. Now, Norm, I don't know how you feel about that, but I personally, well, I saw your reaction, so I have a feeling I have a feeling you have thoughts about that.
I do.
But so I would like for you to share this. Well, why don't you share your things first, and then I'll share my opinion.
Well, I mean, do degrees really mean anything? If you could say you went to college and you have a degree, isn't that kind of low-key enough to get... I mean, if you're staying in your mama's house and you're not paying for anything, but you did graduate college and you do have a degree, then, I mean, it still counts. It still gets you to that $20, right?
Yeah.
At least that 13. At least that 15. I mean,
there are people with law degrees that are working at like Starbucks and stuff.
Exactly.
So I mean,
so do degrees even matter? That's a whole different topic in itself. But
however, well, that is yes, I do think some degrees are better than others.
Yeah.
If you get an engineering degree, you're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
You should, a buddy of mine, I'm not gonna mention his name, but a buddy of mine was let's say an average engineering student. He's doing very well for himself right now. Okay. I think like certain business degrees at least get you in the door faster than having like a gender studies degree. So I think particularly in today's day and age, if you want to be able to be considered for certain positions, you should probably go after certain degrees over other ones. Not to say that these other degrees, I mean, I think some degrees are kind of useless, but
just real quick, even in that, like how many software tech people don't have degrees in anything, and they're making tons of money.
Right.
Like you're right. In some sections, degrees mean everything. In others, kind of. I'm going to be honest. In our range, in our like price range, if you're just like I went to college, that's all I did, then you don't give a fuck about what job you get as long as you have enough money to eat and have a roof. So.
Yes, true. But let's get back to let me try and bring this back to the cost of living situation and to the original question I posed. What do you two think is a crux of why the cost of living in the city is so high right now, which is causing these issues for this woman? Because I mean, even though she has a gender studies degree, which isn't a great degree, I would say, right? She should still be able to live comfortably to pay for bills and do the things she wants to do, which is help out her mom and stuff like that. Those are noble things to want to do.
Yeah.
So Ron, what do you you were starting to chime in there. What do you think are some of the issues causing this issue of cost of living in the city?
You got to keep up with other cities and their cost of living. I mean, it's not going to stay the same for a long time. So times go on, things get more expensive. I remember back in the day when Air Force Ones cost $74. Then all of a sudden they're like $100. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, shoes now that were like $70, $100, they're like $200 now. So if shoes are a typical shoe is like $150, $200, then of course everything else is going to be more expensive. People need more money, period. The cost of living is high, and people cannot survive because people don't have enough dollars. They don't. And I understand how it will blow up the economy if you keep raising things up, $15, $16, because you're right, those jobs were not meant to take care of a family. But unfortunately, people do have these jobs and they have families, so their families got to eat. So what do? We don't increase their pay. They might not be educated to where they can get a better job. is at this point, they're not even living, they're just like existing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's very, very difficult. Me personally, I don't know how to change this, but it is definitely a problem. I mean, the government has to get involved. It's. I mean, I point to them. You know, I do.
Because you even said it yourself that minimum wage was not supposed to be the end all be all of how much you make, but we don't have enough jobs. So how can we tell someone, well, your minimum wage isn't for you. You're supposed to be moving up on the chain. No, this is all the money I got. So if this is all the money that I have, then like you said, that's what I got a family. I have to keep working this job until you bump me up. It's not like...
I mean, there's also the issue of this is all I can do because I don't even have the ability to get education to get better in some other thing unless they really bust their ass in some way. So it's very difficult.
It's like what I said 2 weeks ago. It's education.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it starts there. I understand education is not for everybody, but it can really help your situation better. It's going to help better than not going to school, because having a degree will separate you from other people that's trying to get that job. So you mean, but hey, this resume, 2 people got resumes, one person got a degree, one doesn't. You already know.
I also, because there's the issue of inflation, which is to your point, Ron, of as time progresses, things do get more expensive. I mean, things used to cost like a fucking nickel and like 25 cents.
Right.
30, 40 years ago. And now that same thing is going to cost like $5. That's a hell of an increase if you think about it. That's like a 15,000% is probably. But it's very, very much.
That's an annoying shit when you drive past like a burnt down gas station and it's like, oh, gas for 25 cents. You're like, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's like $4.
Hamburger for a nickel. Yeah, go to hell.
Yeah. But I think there's, at least in the terms of the cost of living, I think it's kind of a combination of there's inflation that's been caused by the economy and like the Fed and things like that and helping money in the system. Just the natural progression of life moving forward where things get more expensive. I think, for cost of living, I would say another, I'm trying to formulate what's the best way to phrase this.
Just say it.
I know, I'm trying to think.
Get it out!
There's just, if you look at with technological advancement, like people can afford like more TVs now better than they ever could, right?
That is a fact.
So you could, like, your dollar can carry more weight now than it did before, where you can buy better technical, like people's standard of living is better today than it was before.
True.
But the cost of living to get to that point is worse than it was before because the prices for basic goods are going up. We talked about like just food in general and things like that. So you have to budget. You have to budget better for that. And I mean, there's a lot of argument via economists and things, and it would be great to have an economist to talk about this on.
Yeah.
But like the things that have been discussed are happening, where the increase in the minimum wage has occurred, and we just discussed how McDonald's is moving to kiosks. Fast food places that employ most minimum wage workers are cutting hours and getting less employees. So, for the people that don't have the skill sets to necessarily do anything else, it's like, where do you go? Now,
they gotta go. They have to seek some type of job training. We need more training for adults.
Trades. Plumbers, electricians.
Yeah. But
those pay a lot. I think Billy Flores said he's an iron worker. I think is what he said on the comment. Like those are like some skilled
HVAC training
things. HVAC.
I mean, Jesus, how many building? But I mean, you get HVAC training. You've got the entire city in your hands.
Yes. Those people I know because some of them are my clients.
Yeah.
They make good coin, man.
Good coin.
And there's a gap for like big machinery, like Caterpillar machines and stuff. But we don't put an onus on that in terms of training, right? Like these minimum wage workers, it's not sexy.
It's not sexy. So
our society is like college, get a degree in gender study. You know,
no one wants to get their hands dirty.
This chick could be, in the article, could theoretically be an electrician. Easy. Yeah. She could be making, literally, electricians can get more than $100,000 a year. Easy. And there's a shortage of them right now because our generation, as millennials, we're just not promoted to go into those types of fields. No. It's like go into, become a lawyer, a doctor.
Yeah, everybody want to do
Damn you, Dick Wolf.
Dick Wolf.
Bastard. But
I guess my question is also how much of that are the individuals who have bought the property and who are keeping the properties outrageously expensive. Like, how much of that is like, I own this bit of property and I'm going to bump up the price of living because I don't want a certain type of person living here.
Can't do that. That's illegal as hell.
Exactly.
People probably get away with it, but I mean, they're doing a market analysis. They're definitely watching the properties that's on their block, and they're staying consistent with that. So that's going to stay. That's going to keep their properties at a certain point. But as far as property owners, those people they done their stuff. They're in a position to where one, they can sole control their own thing. When it's right now, it's a renter's market. Okay, that may change in the next couple of months. The economy is going to be taking a dip. Pay attention, y'all. Be paying attention by October. Yeah, it's gonna start happening. It's gonna start happening. Housing market, it's about to happen. It's reciprocal.
Yeah,
it's 10 years now.
Right.
So it's about to happen.
Yeah, the economy is volatile and cyclical in nature, for sure. And again, let's try and wrap this up and bring to a conclusion. We have some other topics to discuss, but in terms of cost of living and how it affects the minimum wage, I just wonder if, because other cities are not as expensive. I was just in Milwaukee for a bachelor party, and the prices in there are like suburban prices in Chicagoland.
True.
Like $5 for a beer, $9 for a sandwich, $10 for a sandwich. Similar sandwiches and stuff like that in Chicago are like $13, $14. So you're paying a few extra bucks versus other places. And we all know Chicago be a little corrupt up in here. We ain't nobody getting a free mint julep up in Chicago. So, I'm just wondering is, at least in terms of, because there's the federal minimum wage, which they're trying to increase to $15 an hour, but we're looking at these data from like the EPI and this guy David Cooper, and like, you need to be at 1836 and stuff. It's just like, I'm trying to figure out from a cost of living perspective, is the cost of living increase just a natural habitual thing that's going on over time, or at least in Chicago and Illinois specific, is it because of the government and the things that they're doing, the additional taxes and whatever that's and increasing everything, which is harming people. So because a lot of blame typically gets thrown onto like small businesses and the economy and stuff, but it's like, is it really their fault, or is it just because you all know me, I'm more of like a I'm more conservative on that side, where I'm like fiscally conservative, get government out of stuff, let the market take care of what it is. But where there is no answer. This is just to spark conversation. Feel free, if you're listening to the podcast, to give us your thoughts. If you know some stuff, if you're in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. But I don't know if you guys have any final thoughts on this before we move on, but that's kind of where my head is at around it, at least.
It's a tough one. It's a combination. I don't have a definitive answer for that either. I'm not that smart.
And yet we find ourselves betwixt upon the question and the answer once again.
Yeah, man, stop coming with these hard ass topics.
Right? I do wonder though, are we supposed to now stop using kiosks? Like I'm gonna fucking deal with a person. I'm gonna talk to a person because I want them to make their money, or are they making their money anyway and we're just gonna
they're making their money anyway.
Yeah.
it's just less employees.
Exactly.
That little touch screen that you get in.
Yeah.
Did you see right before you actually get to the counter? Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Those two would probably replace like 4 people.
Yeah. Oh, easy.
Bye, y'all. Yeah.
And if it can start making the food itself, everyone's gone.
Over. It's over, man.
There will be a Roomba just picking up fries.
Oh, that's it. I know, right?
A little McDonald's hat. Just like, oh shit.
Yeah, man. That's damn.
I don't talk to anyone.
Well, I think we can safely sum this up as we have no answers.
No answers.
it continues to be a problem, but it's good to discuss and at least throw out those ideas of what could be causing it. Because, I mean, it is unfortunate that people cannot do what this woman is hoping to do, which she would like to have a little more money in her pocket to help her mom out, be able to afford bills and things. But at the same time, if I were giving advice to a young person going into college, I would say look at a practical degree, because it at least gives you a leg up in the field, which is unfortunate because like liberal arts degrees are there to theoretically make you think, like that's right, but like you can think, and I'm at least going to assume you paid attention in classes.
Not at all.
Oh, okay, all right. And that's why we picked Norm, fellas. But yeah.
Or at least a practical minor. A minor that you can fall back on and use and utilize.
To show businesses like, hey, you know.
Hey, get your money back. Your job is go get your damn money back.
Yeah. Or I suppose vote for Elizabeth Warren if she becomes the Democratic National nominee.
However you can get it
she's
back.
Just going to, completely get rid of its debt. So there you go. All right. Well, I think we've safely put that issue to bed by not putting it to bed at all. No. So
hey, sometimes
it's still an unruly toddler who's going through the fridge looking for cookies and milk.
Get your bad ass in bed.
I was just kidding. Never mind. We're not going to go into it. We're not going to fucking go into it.
All right. Well, moving right along in other news. Well, from one heavy topic to another potentially heavy topic.
It's heavy in here, y'all.
Do 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 bow bow do 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 do. Oh no! It's the ice.
It's the ice. Oh,
ice.
I thought we were singing Under Pressure. My bad. I didn't realize.
Oh,
we didn't even set that up.
He's under pressure. He's under pressure.
Right, that's the original better version than Ice Ice Baby.
But then we added a dun dun in it.
Yeah.
And it just, was the same. No copyright.
Hopefully we won't get sued. But I don't know if humming a tune constitutes
I was sitting here going,
copyright infringement.
Under Pressure. What the fuck? What topic is that? Under Pressure. And you're like, ice. I'm like, oops.
Yes. Well, gentlemen, a quick, well, it's not really a quick topic, but something to briefly discuss as briefly as we possibly can, is the fear in the Chicago area specifically, which is supposed to be not a safe haven, sanctuary city for immigrants, but there's a lot of fear because of the increase in potential ICE raids for folks. There have been a few statistics, but there have been several articles, so I figured it might be time to talk about this. Several articles over the past few weeks in the Tribune about the ICE raids. And I just feel like, first of all, can I just say, I know what ICE stands for, but when you just say ice, to be afraid of ice, it just seems silly.
Winter is coming.
Yeah, winter. Well, at that point, I think just winter happened, and now you're just stuck. I guess maybe that's the fearful thing. It's like, I'm stuck, I'm in the ice, oh no! Ah! I'm Captain America, let me out! Yeah. Alright, well, 35 detentions... that was a weird segue. 35 detentions happened last week from ICE, but they don't disclose where. Basically, there's the biggest thing is that there's a professor at DePaul. His name is Leonard Jason. All right. It says he's basically like there's a fear. There's a lot of consequences that are extenuating to individuals and to neighborhoods that involve and have a large immigrant population, because there's just a culture of fear, which is making people do certain things and not do other things that would be normal daily life that can help the neighborhood in general for economy. People are just not wanting to go outside. They're kind of freaked out, and I can totally understand that. 45 people have been arrested in Illinois at least one person in Chicago. Since May of 2019, there have been 899 total detentions of immigrants by ICE, but they really don't disclose where or who or wherever. But at least 45 people in Illinois, at least one person they know of that was arrested in Chicago. They have arrested some people, sent them to the border, they've been like, oops, sorry, and then like release them back into America. So it's not like they're perfect. But I feel like ICE agents basically are the equivalent of the boogeyman at this point. It's look under your beds. Oh, it's an ICE agent.
Sadly, though, they kind of sound like the Gestapo. Like,
yes, there have been comparisons to that, which I don't know if it's that bad.
I mean, but think about it. Like, think about if you have to hide in your home. Anne Frank hid in her home.
I was about to say that.
Like,
yes.
Man, like, think about if you had to hide in your home because you lived here for maybe, let's just say most of your life. Let's say half of your life. Your kid or child or whatever has lived there all their lives. They were born here. And they're going to try to rip you from your family and take you back to some life that you don't want, you didn't ask for. Like, that's crazy.
Yes, I will say that although I tend to lean on the right side of the aisle on certain topics and things, as much as I am for like legal immigration, and I'm not a fan of illegal immigration, I also kind of feel like anybody who's been here for a certain amount of time, like, well, I think we should just let it go. It's just more of a hassle, in my opinion, to deal with it. Like, it's what this kind of fear is creating,
especially
than just being like, look, you're in here, you're in,
like, pay
good
this
for you,
fine, take this class,
good day,
get your ass a license and get the fuck out of my way. Like,
and find out who they are and just be like, or like at least give an option, like, yo, you've been here, take a couple classes and we'll give you citizenship. You know, like, give you like, oh,
and get
like,
it done.
I think they should,
like slipping the paper, like, here's a salary I want, you know.
They need to, they should work with people that have been in the U.S., like you said, half their lifetime, their children were born here. Especially if these people are decent individuals, they don't have any issues, no crimes or anything.
Yes, agreed.
Those individuals, hey, if you have to fine them because they did come over here illegally, work something out. Yeah. But do not just force these people out because, I mean, they need asylum.
I think there's a way to do it in a respectful way for people where, can you prove you've been employed for over 6 months? Because at least then they've been in the country for longer than 6 months, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think there just need to be some legitimate guidelines set, and I feel like the big issue for this is that there are no real guidelines set, because neither side is willing to set what those fucking guidelines are. Well, and I think you could create a decent compromise to be like, these are the guidelines, let's just go take care of this real quick. Anybody who meets the requirements, you're solid. If you don't meet the requirements, hell, here's a way, like a couple of quick questions. Would you like to be a U.S. citizen? Would you mind taking a couple of classes? If yes, then we'll enroll you. You have like 3 months to do classes, and then you're... The only problem is, anybody could theoretically run across, and then you're kind of like, nobody's got... this isn't legitimately the Gestapo with numbers on people's arms.
Or wearing stars and shit. Like, hey, listen,
barcodes.
I'm a good American. You have a little flag. Like, I'm a good American. It's okay, guys.
Yes. Or you run across the board and you've got like a little barcode and you're just like, check in. Like, I came in on this day. It's kind of hard, but I feel like, I'm not for open borders per se, but I just feel like anybody who is in here for longer than 6 months at least, I think is a decent. That would be my proposal, but
it's also
it's tough. You got the dude, running the game right now. He's not the most.
Senor Trump.
Yeah, he's not. I hate saying his name. He's not the most worthy person to like trying to rationalize this shit to him. I mean, this guy, y'all, this guy. Like, hold on.
Ron's about to get some sage wisdom right now, everybody. Hold on.
Hey, this guy is a character. He really is. He really is a character, y'all.
He should be on USA.
I mean,
Channel USA.
fact check is just, like, what facts? He speaks no facts. This guy is he's a
This
puppet.
is-
He's a puppet.
Yeah, he's
A puppet.
Yes, he. If it were ever found out that there were strings attached to him, I don't think anybody would be completely
Dude, we'd be like, I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah, but I think just look, I'm not trying to solve the immigration crisis here either.
We are
But
not
I don't
solving
like
that crisis.
the reason why I bring it up is like it just at least in the city of Chicago, this is a thing that is happening. It's unfortunate. I don't like it.
Yeah,
We got enough problems as it is.
We only
I don't
had one
exactly
person in
need-
Chicago that was
Only one, but the thing is they don't disclose.
They don't disclose.
So there
So
could have
we
been
won't even
more.
know. Yeah.
And I mean, let's be honest,
That's
Chicago's a
some
big
shady-
fucking city.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
and
like, only,
there's a lot of
only one
Latinos
person,
and Latinas.
I'm thinking like, yeah, that's pretty damn good.
You
But
know?
at the same time, we know that shit.
And who are we? Like, because here's the immigrant thing. There's immigrants everywhere.
Yep.
Right.
Why are we just
why are we
picking
only
on
targeting
Hispanics? Like when there's immigrants everywhere, and the other thing is it's dividing us. It's going okay. So here's the corporation, the people, I guess the entity that is the government coming in. We're to the point where people have to create human rings just to make sure that they don't attack or grab these people, so that they can get in their houses. How are we helping each other as government and people?
We're not.
It's just creating another divide that we don't need. And
True.
we already have enough of those.
Correct.
So
Yeah, it would just be good to get. It's again, we've started off this podcast with two very difficult issues, which I'm okay with because I like discussing these types of issues. These are the issues that matter. By no means are we going to solve the immigration crisis on this 10 minutes of this podcast episode. But I bring it up because it is something that it's a cloud, if you will, that's kind of hovering over particularly certain neighborhoods, and it's unfortunate. Yeah. Get away, Cloud!
Don't fuck out of here!
Don't get raining on me today. I'm trying to get out in the sunshine. We don't get a lot of that around here, so let me enjoy it, damn it.
Why you sound like a sister and shit?
What? I don't know.
he said,
Right, yeah, exactly. I'm like,
Because the other one who be yelling is a sister. Shut the fuck up.
You better get, I just got my
Hey! I'm trying to see the sun, goddammit!
I just got my motherfucking head down. You better go, Cloud.
The last thing you saw was like 70s black television.
Yes.
I know. Right.
Like the last thing.
Look, I love Sanford and Sons. Just
Like,
leave me
God damn it,
be.
we should-
George Jefferson
I'm
Wall.
trying to even think of like, goddamn, like what's an old. All right, I'll do an old white man. You damn son, come out here! You know, that's old white men just mumble and they have frog ass. You know what frog ass is?
Frog ass.
Frog ass is when you get so. I saw a guy over the weekend who had frog ass. He was a 2-star brigadier general though, so I couldn't make fun of him. But you can. It's when I can't even do it. It's basically when you like you get to a point where you're so old that you just have no ass, and it basically just looks like,
It's like a back.
your back like
It's like a long
caves
back.
in like this, and your ass muscles come in, so you look like a frog standing on hind legs walking around.
I've never
It's frog
seen.
ass. Only happens to
Frog
white
ass.
old men, as far as I've seen.
It's frog ass.
I've never
Well,
seen
frog
frog
ass.
ass before.
Yeah.
I
It
guess because-
basically just looks like you have your torso and then the legs.
That's gonna be
Nothing.
all over our Chicago
Yeah,
system.
hashtag frog ass.
I'm
I'm
looking for
sure
frog
we
ass.
taking pictures of frog ass
I'm
around
looking
the
for
city.
frog ass.
Like,
Hashtag
you
frog
take
ass.
So only old white men.
Typically old white men is what I've
Frog
seen.
ass.
You guys are gonna be fine.
We lucked
We're
out.
good. We're good.
Finally,
See?
some brothers get away with something.
That's
We
right.
got something right. God damn it. Shit.
And then we see someone
Shit.
with frog ass. Obama's got frog ass. We're like,
God damn it!
Damn.
Son of a bitch. It's just like, it's okay, it's just his
we
white
needed
hat.
one. That took me a minute.
I know. I'll get it right away.
I completely missed it. Yeah?
I'm like, I hear that.
Well, hopefully he doesn't get the frog ass. Let's only hope and pray. Hope and pray. Believe, I believe. That's what his real hope for change was. Stop frog ass. Hashtag frog
On the white
ass.
side. On the white
Oh
side.
Jesus! All right, I gotta stop. All right. Well, let's move on. Moving right along in other news. All right. So we got this thing about tickets.
Yeah.
This is cool. We can get through this one relatively quickly because it's just like good news for the most part.
Yeah.
Lori Lightfoot. Okay. All right, girl.
See?
Lori.
See, we talked about this
Yeah.
at the beginning. Like, what was she gonna do?
I'm
like
liking
that.
I'm liking
I like this
I'm liking
story,
you. I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Lightfoot.
Hey, I like Lightfoot anyway, for the simple fact, she had a hot mic this week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a hot mic. She was saying some things about the police.
Oh.
Ooh.
We all know that's a hot mic from a Lightfoot.
Hey, CPD, y'all better get y'all shit together, man. Cause she watching y'all.
With 3 eyes and 2 feet.
4 eyes, actually.
She's like Hermes. We got Hermes. Very, very Lightfoot.
You're so stupid.
With wings and the helmet and the scepter thing. And she's like, to the CPD! The city council! I don't know.
Little wings?
I don't know.
Man.
I'm 5 beers deep. She was leave me alone.
Man, do you have frog ass?
Yeah. One day I will.
One day.
You're gonna be an old white man.
One day I'm gonna have good old white man frog ass. Alright. No, but seriously, here we go. Alright, so Lightfoot is proposing some changes to the ticketing. The big main change is no longer taking away your driver's license for non-traffic violations, particularly parking tickets, and she also wants to reduce the city sticker fines as well.
Hey,
so,
Lori, why couldn't you be mayor when I was like a teenager?
thank you very
in
much.
my early 20s and middle 20s, and like all my 20s. Like I must have gave the city of Chicago so much money for parking tickets.
Yeah,
like,
likewise.
No, actually, tickets. Period.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. She's also going to be reducing down payments and giving more leniency on time to pay off ticket debt.
Wow.
As well. So she's like, this shit's too expensive. Like, good for you. All right, I'm
Lori,
into it.
Lori, you just locked up your next term, honey.
Damn right. People will be like,
Done.
can you believe this life? I can't believe
Because most people are like, oh God, a black woman, oh gosh, she's gay. What are we gonna do now? Like, wait, you dropping tick? Hey, Lori Lightfoot, yeah, you go, girl. I supported you in the beginning.
That's right.
Per wiggle who?
And like, so a couple big statistics as to why she's doing this is 59,000 people currently have their licenses suspended for non-traffic related issues, and only 1 of 3 of those tickets are getting paid.
Right.
So like the government isn't even making the money off this. People just don't pay.
Hey, people
Like, what's the
said,
point?
people like, fuck it.
Yeah, fuck this.
I ain't gonna drive in here.
Okay, fine, I got it.
Hashtag frog ass approval. I
You
like
not
it.
go get my money.
Love it.
I got a venture pass. I don't give a fuck.
Motherfuckers like, hey,
I will wait till I get a boot on my car before I pay shit.
hey, and them boots coming too.
That's
Your
right.
car will be gone, but people, hey, Uber, man,
These boots were made for walking.
straight up.
That's just what they'll do.
Hey, have y'all?
All I need is a Lightfoot, and I'll get away from
waiting.
you.
I know you were working on it in your mind.
Have y'all had a boot?
What?
Have you ever had a boot?
No,
before?
because I pay my tickets.
White boy.
Well,
White boy.
hashtag white boy privilege.
Actually, I've never had a boot either, but I've also never had a really good car.
Hey, this guy right here, he had a boot. Let me tell you something. It just fucks your day up.
Yeah.
Day over.
Whatever you plan to do that
You
day,
wake up, man.
you will no longer do it.
Your
It
day.
is a surprise.
Yeah.
Man,
it's a
it's
surprise.
the worst surprise. You all embarrassed. You be looking like, wait, is that my car?
Yeah.
You like turn around, you turn back around, and that shit is still there.
And that's gotta be worse than getting towed, because at least you know when you got towed, you're like, shit, I think my car got towed.
Yeah.
Or stolen, but it's
Or
gone.
stolen.
But
But
now
no.
you're just standing there looking at your car with a shoe on it.
You got a yellow
A
thing
bright yellow fucking brick.
with a dumbass sticker on your window. Why y'all put the sticker on there, man? You gotta like get like a razor blade and like
Yes,
strip that
fuck
off.
those
It's
stickers.
So whack, man. That's like adding the
Thank
insult to the
you.
injury. That's like, stop doing that shit, y'all.
And even after you
All
pay
right?
the ticket,
Just hey, fold it up and put it under the windshield wiper blade.
No, fuck you. I want to insult you.
Yeah, they like, no, I'm putting this shit all
Like-
over. They they rub it all down on you.
Like, let me make sure I get a
1
little
year
extra
later,
on
you
there.
still have that one little sticker piece left, and you're just like,
And you know it was a sticker, like the parking
Yeah.
sticker, that little strip that still be there. So people be looking at you like, you an asshole, you don't pay your
Jerks.
shit.
well, you know what? Thank you, Lightfoot, Lori Lightfoot, Mayor Lori Lightfoot,
Thank you.
for taking care of this ticket problem, because
Thank you.
it's ridiculous,
Yes.
redonkulous.
There's a lot of people up there like, damn, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be driving at the end of the summer.
All right, well, moving right along in other
other
news.
news.
All right, I want to talk about this one real quick as well, because it's kind of interesting, and we've talked about it before, but Northerly Island
Northerly Island.
is undergoing some repairs. All right, so there's apparently a big issue with one of the pathways on the eastern side of Northerly Island.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just like, well, this wasn't really meant for leisure, but people were whatever, and the lake was like, fuck you! And like, Lake Michigan is like, oh, fuck you! I don't know why it's French, but...
I know, right? That's how Lake Michigan sounds?
Yeah, I don't know. Sure.
I wish we could animate all this.
That would be funny.
God, one day we
Lake
will.
Michigan.
One day. We know some friends who can eventually do it.
We sure do.
It'll happen. One day. There's a lot of cool stuff coming from the podcast and Chicago 60.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Yeah, we'll add that to the fucking list. But yeah, the Army Corps of Engineers is going to undergo a $10.8 million project to fix the pathway that was decimated by the lake on the eastern side of the pathway. The federal government is going to pick up 65% of the bill. Thank you, federal government.
Really?
Oh, that's nice.
That equates to $7.02 million.
That's damn.
So which means the Park District of Chicago is paying $3.78 million. That's how you do percentages and math. They're putting in also what's called armor stone, which is supposed to prevent. It's basically stronger stone that's preventing the waves from getting over. And they're basically turning the path into like a cul-de-sac now, because they're like, look, stop walking here. If you do walk this way, you're just gonna naturally get led back around to the way we want you to go. Get the fuck away from his.
It's like cattle.
But they're like, people are still not paying attention to the signs. They're just walking wherever they want, even when it's jagged as fuck. And like they literally have a picture where the pathway is like this. Like here's the ground, and it's like very diagonal and jagged. And they're like, people are still walking on it.
Oh yeah, of course.
And like, who's responsible? The Park District, even though they have signs and stuff.
I mean, let's be real. That's everywhere in Chicago. There's fucked up sidewalks everywhere.
Yeah.
Can we talk about fucked up streets and alleys, please?
Sure.
Dude, it's ridiculous. My alley is like, it's like I'm driving on the moon. I'm not playing. It is more craters back there. I mean, it takes me about 10 minutes to get out, to drive out of my spot, dude. Because I got to drive I drive so slow down my alley, my speedometer don't move.
Jeez.
Straight up. I got to tiptoe out the damn alley because guess what, y'all? I'll probably like break a CV joint or something. And the city go be, oh, yeah, we'll pay you back, Ryan. Like 3 years.
Yeah.
I'll be waiting on that forever, man.
No,
I don't want to do it.
Come.
You know what, man? Axle broke.
So much repairs on everything these days. This city sucks.
Just suck money right out of it. You step out your door like,
yeah.
It's the sound of money.
Leave your pocket.
Leave your wallet at home, y'all.
Yeah. One time I got a hernia from such a pothole. And it was like, oh god, my intestines are in my heart now. This is bad. He goes get surgery. They're like, now you're an alien. I'm like, no. And then they sent me back to Mexico.
I'm about to get up.
Your goddamn train of thought.
What the fuck?
You're like, watch me. I'll
Yeah.
tie it.
I'll bring it full circle.
I'll cul-de-sac this bitch all the way around.
That's right, man. So you gotta find the tie-ins. Is highlighting how ridiculous our system is. That's the point. That our hernia could result in something. Okay, I'm not gonna explain the joke. Either you got it or you did.
You got it.
Either you did or you didn't. I'm not gonna explain my fucking joke. It defeats the whole point. But anyway, so Northerly Island, it's going through these repairs. So hopefully everybody can enjoy it once again. So that should be finished in like several months. The other thing was that they made. They ended up doing like a nature preserve, and it costs less than this actual repair with pathway. Which they were like, why is the repairing this pathway more expensive? And they're like, don't ask questions. It's like, typical Chicago. Don't look where the money is going. Look, fancy new pathway. But where did the money go? Don't look at where that's. Don't look behind the curtain.
But I love that in the article. It's like, well, but the city's paying for like 60, like, or the government pays for like. 60% of it, and like you still saying millions.
That's what I'm tripping on.
Stop acting like it's not millions of dollars.
Yeah. Oh, the government's only shipping in a few million.
It's we're only gonna be paying $3 million of it.
Right.
Thanks, government. Can y'all like chip in and help some people get some higher wages a little bit?
Yeah,
just a little bit.
That would be nice.
You know?
Jeez.
Just a little bit.
All right. So, in a few months, everybody, Northerly Island will be repaired, and you can go enjoy it a little bit more and walk on a path that will take you around to the path you were originally on. So, because that's how cul-de-sacs work.
And that's how life works.
And that's life. It's a circle of life, like the new Lion King movie. That's worse off than the original, according to some people. Because they made it like super National Geographic.
They made it like
real.
National Geographic.
Okay. Quick thoughts on that. What are your thoughts?
I haven't seen it, but it looks dope.
Okay.
This shit look dope, man.
My thing is, it's just Disney trying to make their money back. Like, it's an animated film. It's still animated.
Jon Favreau has a thing about like, no, we gotta make this realistic. And he did the same thing with the Jungle Book and shit.
He made it realistic.
Hey, what do you got against animation, man?
I mean, but it still legally is kind of animated.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it looks exciting.
I don't know. I like realism, so I'm kind of into that. But,
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind watching.
But a lot of people are like,
because they have to be.
yeah, it's true.
People always gotta be in that feeling. They talk about
does.
this ain't emotional enough.
But I bet you that they make a live action Princess and the Frog, they won't say shit.
Oh my God! It turned into Chris Hemsworth. Oh wow!
About that.
All right. Well, moving right along. Then
The nose.
All right. Where do I want to go?
Where you going?
Where are you going?
All right, I'm gonna mention this story real quick because it's interesting. We'll skip some of the other ones, but this I want to go to sports. I changed it up a little bit.
We were here.
All right, so they had an interesting little tiny article. So let's just some shout outs to our teams in Chicago. Okay, the Bears and the Bulls and the Cubs
And the Sox.
Nah, just those three. They're the only ones that are mentioned. So basically they looked at overall what are the biggest franchises of sports teams in the nation across the country.
Bulls, bitch.
Yes. Yes, correct.
Yes,
They are amongst them, yes. So the Bulls and the Bears, the Bulls and the Bears, tied for 19th overall, most in terms of revenue and overall net worth.
Yeah.
They rank about 19th, and they also took in consideration this report of gosh damn it.
Come on now, spit it out.
Why can't I think of words? They're just words.
Let me help you.
When a lot of people know about the team.
Attendance.
Not attendance, like around the world. Popularity. Okay, we'll go with popularity. Yes, popularity amongst the world and whatnot. So like people in China, are like I like the Bulls. And it's like it's what they're talking about. So yeah, it's really because of MJ and that whole thing. Otherwise, I don't know if the Bulls would be that popular. But so the Bulls and the Bears are ranked 19th overall. The Bulls are the fourth biggest brand in the National Basketball Association, behind the Warriors, the Celtics, and the Lakers.
That's only new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Warriors are, man. But whatever. And then the Bears are 7th overall in the NFL. And the Cubbies, they're the fourth most popular or most known franchise in the Major League Baseball. And they were 14th total amongst all teams. Okay, now here's the only thing I have to say. How the hell is not a single Chicago team in the top fucking 10?
Yeah,
the
bullshit.
Fuck is this?
Bullshit, man.
What?
Fuck that,
Do you have the top 5?
I didn't. They didn't. They just only talked about Chicago
It
teams.
does something.
Yeah.
But I mean,
What
New
do you
York
feel
teams,
about
LA
that?
teams.
I want to know who's better than the GOAT.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Who's better than the
a
GOAT?
ton of the Cubs fans are dead.
Shout out to Tim Shanley watching. What's up, Tim?
What up,
From the
Chad?
CBTC. We'll see you for the pregame show, my friend.
Absolutely.
Talking about the Bears right now. You see, very timely, Tim.
All right.
It's like he hears things about the Bears. It's like
he said the Bears.
It's like his
Are they-
spidey senses, bear senses kicked in.
are people talking about the Bears?
That's right. You're right.
Your like little hair stand up. He's like, what do you? I must go find the salmon. Duh. Like,
Fast
just starts-
salmon, just bear out.
In fact, I mean, he's got a lot of good meats that he throws out there at the tailgate. But throw out some salmon because Bears like salmon.
Why isn't
Get
there
some
more
teriyaki salmon out there, Tim.
Tim,
An
we gonna
idea
talk.
for you.
We're gonna talk.
We'll talk. We'll talk to you.
We'll talk to him.
We'll bring salmon if you want us to. We'll
We'll bring it. Because, the Bears.
Oh, damn.
The Bears.
We brought fish.
Here's an idea for a comedy sketch. All three of us dress like bears in a ravine, and we just pick up salmon.
Salmon.
Just wearing like Walter Payton jersey, a Butkus jersey, whatever. Real bears pick their own salmon. I don't know.
We don't believe in fish skin. We believe in salmon skins.
Scrap that idea. After I said it,
Go
sounds
home.
so bad.
Go the fuck home.
And the end. But anyway, how the hell are not one Chicago team in the top 10? What the hell is that?
Sound like some Chicago hating going on, man.
Who do we need to buy off? I mean, we are Chicago. Who do we have to pay?
Hey,
We got millions just laying around.
Exactly.
Hey, who we got to knock off? You know what I'm saying?
For just the top spot.
Yeah,
Like, not for
jeez.
bettering the city, just for like a top spot.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, man.
so bump the Bulls up a little bit there.
Yeah, just a little. Yeah,
A
at
little
least one of them. The Bulls are not very good though.
Whoa, they had a very good offseason.
But they have a legacy, though.
Hold on. Good offseason.
We got Cody White, Kobe White,
Yeah.
Kobe, but not that one. Not like the beef.
Not
the other.
Not
Not like the
we
beef
didn't
kind.
get,
The other.
yeah, not Kobe.
He looks pretty good. Even the other, the four, I can't remember his name, but the four they got.
Danny Gafford.
Yes, Gafford. Yes, he
Yeah.
looks pretty good.
He's nice. He's a good rim
Laurie
runner.
Markkinen, Levine. That might be it. The Bulls are coming back, folks. They're coming back.
Yeah.
One day, the Stampedes of the Bulls. In the intro,
Hey, the Stampede will be
it'll
coming back this year, y'all.
it'll really be like how it's supposed to be.
That's right.
You gotta be careful about the horns
Yeah, watch
because if you go to Pamplona and you run with the Bulls,
You go get your ass poked.
you get the
You get the horns.
I can't even finish that.
the
joke.
horns.
You
Yeah.
get the horns.
Hey,
You
poke-
get the
You poke
horns.
the bull, you go get them horns now.
And you go to the Bears, you get paws with salmon residue because they're clawing at. All right, it's enough about the salmon.
Salmon residue. The salmon residue.
Jesus, things that linger in my mind. It's a mystery. All right, well, moving right along. In other news, gentlemen, it is time.
It's
For
time.
our favorite segment of the.
Is it that time?
It's time for the Jag-Off of the Week! This week we've got 2 Jag-Offs.
2?
2.
Wait.
It's a twofer!
Hold on, I think so. This is just like your neighbors probably hear this all the time, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Every Monday.
Every
they're like,
Monday, they're like, go.
Why are they yelling?
It's like a circle jerk. Or
A circle jerk.
No, it's not.
I hope they don't have frog-ass.
Sorry, continue.
So,
Hashtag frog-ass approval.
Let's go.
Yeah. Alright, so the first Jag-Off is the governor of Puerto Rico.
Yes.
What a Jag-Off! Ricardo Rosselló.
Nice.
Oh, no, sorry, that was really bad. Rosselló. There's only 2 L's. I used to take Spanish. I know how to say things. Ricardo Rosselló. He was 40 years old. He was part of the statehood party. He said he was not going to resign his post, and then like a lot of people were like, no, yes you will. and they marched in the streets for days telling him that he was going to resign. Then he was like, all right, I'll resign. Now, why did he resign, gentlemen? It's because there were leaked group chat messages where Rosselló made fun of women, gay people, made light of the dead from Hurricane Maria. Yeah, well, that's always going to be, pleasing to your own folks when you make fun of them being dead from a, horrific natural disaster that killed many of them. Yeah, so, seems smart.
That's real Trumpish.
Fucking idiot.
In a group chat of all things.
Oh, by the way, they also stole a bunch of money from us, the American government,
Sure did.
for all, It was like, here's a bunch of money to help, and then they're like, thank you. And then the people are like, where's the money? And they're like, they haven't paid us yet. And it's just like, well, no, yeah, they
God,
did.
America's evil!
It's like, look, Trump can only throw so many rolls of toilet paper. That video was ridiculous.
Dude, that is...
But not as bad as these leaked group chat messages, for God's sakes.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so he stepped down. The funny thing was that they were like, resign. And he was like, no. And then theoretically his Secretary of State should have taken over, but the problem was that his Secretary of State was also on the group chat messages and resigned before he resigned. So now, I don't even know what's going on in Puerto Rico.
The state was like, I'm out.
Yeah, he's just like,
peace.
like,
no, you're supposed to hold it down. Like, man, I'm already
No, I'm
out.
lost. I already packed
I'm
my
like,
shit. I'm out.
I'm right in line.
Did
so.
you see? They got bottles down there, so I'm gonna go this way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm good.
This is not the type of fiesta that's good for me to be part of. I need to get out.
Out the window. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, yes, you are.
But you know what? Good for the people of Puerto Rico. As you know, that's just look.
Tell him, Justin.
It's private group messages that were leaked. Okay, so like these things theoretically should never have been out in the public view or whatever.
See?
We all, let's be honest, we all as individuals, we have conversations where we don't always say savory things.
Hey.
We say things in jest and for jokes, right? We don't always, we don't always say things that are couth.
That's true.
Or savory.
Hey, y'all. Hey.
Politically correct.
Stop leaving them paper trails and shit. Y'all just talking. You see
Delete your servers.
Trying to be funny and shit. They up there talking shit.
Motherfucker just trying to make a joke.
Yep.
And everybody gets so goddamn sensitive.
Like, okay, so everyone, we understand. Delete this at 5. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Next time, just have a fucking conference. Have a little meeting where y'all all together. Y'all get y'all little giggles in like that and shit.
Are we gonna have a prohibition era of comedy at some point where we're gonna have speakeasies where people go in to say
People just go in
funny
and say
things?
some dark ass shit.
Dark shit.
It's like,
Leave
it's
it
like,
there.
Man, that'd
God.
be dangerous.
That is
fuck's
dangerous.
sake.
Because then everyone's just kind of looking at each other like, it's time to go now. I think
Yeah.
we hit a line.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be scary if that ever were to be the case, and I hope that is never the case. But nevertheless, if your shit gets found out, you're an idiot. You can't leave. You don't leave a paper. Just be smart. I mean,
Not
particularly
just an idiot, worse than an idiot, a jagoff.
that's right. You're a jagoff there, guy. You're a jagoff because just if you're a political figure, it's look. It'd be one thing if they were just making jokes about women, gay people, stuff like that, or like them, and also if they also were making fun of themselves in the process, you can go, they're making fun of everybody. But first of all, you're the governor of the goddamn state. You stole money and are making fun of people who are your own citizens who died in a natural disaster. Like, and then you make fun of everybody. Like, bro, you done be stupid.
Dude.
Stupid.
Dumb as hell, man.
How do you say stupid in Spanish?
Stupid.
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 Either way, you're dumb.
Yeah, you
And you're a jagoff.
You're a jagoff.
Yes, you are.
You're not as cool as Ricky Ricardo, although he was technically, I know he's Cuban, but still. You're definitely not as cool. I mean, he's Ricardo, so I imagine he goes by Ricky. Could you imagine if they...
Stupid.
What's a good nickname we could think of for this Ricky?
Ricky,
Have we got anything? We'll come up with some. We won't waste more time on the podcast about it. We'll come up with a funny nickname for him. But either way, he's a jagoff. Jagoff Ricky.
Jagoff Ricky is going to be your tag.
That's right. Hashtag Jagoff Ricky.
No.
Wait,
No.
No.
Someone's gonna do it.
Did you not?
Yeah.
Don't.
No, I had to say it out loud first before I realized that does sound really bad.
I was like, do you not hear that?
Nah.
It's better off.
I didn't until I said it in my head and then I said it out loud.
You're a jagoff.
You're a jagoff, Ricky. All right. The second jagoff, and this is like a threefer. It's not even a twofer. It's a threefer. I had to throw these people in because these people they weren't a client. They were a client of mine, but they weren't a client of mine. I technically lost the account. It was one of the first ones.
Hey, Jessica, this is personal.
This was personal.
Y'all. We don't normally
This
go
one is
personal.
personal.
Oh, today we are.
Today it's a little personal, but also this is just a funny story in general. So, two other jagoffs of the week are Rishi Shah and Sradra Argawal of Outcome Health, which formerly known as Context Media. So when I first started out at one of my sales jobs, Context Media was my account. I lost the account. It had nothing to do with me. They literally were towards the end of their contract. I never sold them until I was trying to re-up them for a contract. So for those of you who don't know about Outcome Health, they've been in the news for quite a while. So Rishi and Sradra are the CEO and I think like the CFO or something of the company. Basically, Outcome Health is a company where they would go to doctors' offices and dentist offices. They would give a tablet to the doctors and say, just put up the tablets in here and your patients are going to learn about drugs and other medicinal treatments and things that will help them in addition to whatever you prescribe them, right? And then the doctors get a little bit of a cut of percentage of it. But basically then they go to pharmaceutical companies to then have the pharmaceutical companies do advertisements. So the doctors get a cut from the advertising money that the pharmaceutical companies put in there. And then Context Media, now Outcome Health, would also get a big share. Now here's where they ran into some problems, making them a bunch of jagoffs. They basically lied to all of their investors and to the pharmaceutical companies, saying that they had way more tablets and they were in way more doctors' offices than they actually were in, and just defrauded all their investors like $487 million. The guy was 31 years old and was one of the wealthiest people in America at the age of 31. He was the company was valued at like $5.5 billion. He was loaded, okay? And then they're just like, oh, but we just, defrauded everybody. And they now have released transcripts where they actually have text messages and emails where people are knowingly admitting to frauding these large pharmaceutical. Like, how stupid do you have to be to go to defraud pharma companies? Those players, they don't mess around, okay? They will take off your balls and every other extremity they can of yours, leave you just a corpse, just a torso, and then they'll sell you the parts back so you can be a human being again. That's how bad they are. So So Rishi Shah and Sraja Agarwal are a bunch of jagoffs for defrauding. I mean, it is kind of they defrauded like corporations, but also, it's not that wasn't good for the doctors or the patients either.
Like, why couldn't you just do the job? That's where I'm confused.
Because it was hard.
But that's what I'm really confused. All your job was to do is to have the tablets put in the doctor's office and have people buy ads on the tablets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you became fuck you people.
Mm-hmm.
You jagoffs.
This is what we would call corporate greed.
Yeah.
True that.
It's like...
Also, you should have got out early and then blamed it on someone else.
Yeah, no kidding. Way to not pay attention.
Oh, damn, David bringing down the company. I'm not involved.
Don't you know you're supposed to have a fall guy? It was all David's fault.
Gator Bob. Alligator Bob did it.
Alligator Bob did it.
Gator Bob.
Gator Bob.
Back.
Hashtag Gator Bob. So, yeah.
Blame on Gator Bob.
Yeah. So, so to recap, the jagoffs of the week are former, or is it what we consider an ex-governor? Ex-governor. Let's make it personal. And they're an ex. It's like a relationship. Ex-governor Ricardo Rosselló from Puerto Rico, and jagoffs Rishi Shah and Sraja Agarwal from Outcome Health. Frauding, saying stupid shit. You're all a bunch of fucking jagoffs, and just get the hell out of here, okay? You're a bunch of jagoffs.
Get out of here.
All right, well, gentlemen, that was another episode of
Podcast.
And we hope you all enjoyed it. Now, if you did enjoy the podcast, you can, follow us on Facebook and like our Facebook page. Please do that, particularly anybody who is watching live. Please make sure you do that. Share this with your friends so that we get more followers and that more people learn about what's going on in the news, and then, they like our shit. And then we can do a bunch of other cool stuff. So do that on Facebook. Also, go to YouTube and just look up Chicago 60. We'll show up. Subscribe. Hit the little notification bell because we've got sketch comedy, other short films. We've got a bunch of other skits we're going to be doing that you will not see unless you are a subscriber on the YouTube page. We will not always post them on the Facebook page. So if you're not on the platforms, you're going to miss out. Also, go to our Instagram page. That's at Chicago_60. Chicago_60. You can go there and you can see more cool posts and photos and all that stuff that we're doing, interviews, all that jazz. You won't be able to see it unless you're on the Instagram page. Right. Also, if you're listening to this on iTunes, then please subscribe. Why are you listening if you're not going to subscribe? That seems silly. So just hit the subscribe button because we're coming out with a new episode every week, right, guys? Every week. And also, please leave us a 5-star review. Not a 4-star, not a 3-star, not a 2-star, not a 1-star. A 5-star review because obviously you think we're hilarious and awesome and relatively handsome. At least me. These guys are very handsome. I'm at least relatively handsome.
No, you're a super duper.
Oh, super duper.
That makes me shit. No, I'm kidding.
I love how you used a white person phrase to make me sound handsome. You're super duper. All right, no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, go to iTunes and hit that 5-star review and subscribe. Hey, we're also going to be coming out on Spotify, so if you're a Spotify person, in a couple weeks we will be on Spotify. So check us out there. So go to all those platforms because if you don't, you will miss out on content. And one of the pieces of content you will miss out on is seeing Norm on a fucking boat.
That's right. So let's break it down for a minute. This is a story I like to call Norm on a boat. So one day there was this little guy named Norm who wasn't so little. And he dreamt about being on a boat one day. Not just any normal boat, but a yacht. A big-ass yacht. I'm talking like fine-ass, like multiple places where they're just like you can stand in the front, or you can stand in the back, or you can go in it. You know, you can do anything you want with it. I want to be able to break a champagne bottle off a boat. And if we're going to be real fancy, we want to be able to break one off a new boat. So if you got a new boat and you're just like ready to just have someone come on and have a good time and break a bottle off the boat, call us. We're here.
Call us, please.
We got nothing
Send us
better
an
to
email.
do.
Leave us a comment.
Yeah. And we'll bring the entire crew. We'll bring friends.
Oh, we gonna bring them.
I mean, we will have a party on this brand new boat that you haven't opened yet, and we will open it.
We gonna go in it too, like Norm said.
Like go in the boat.
In the boat.
Because I've never been in a boat.
Yeah, we go.
I've been on a boat, but like, I want to be on the boat. Like I'm thinking about being on a boat now, but never been in a boat.
We gonna get Norm in the boat.
We're gonna be in the boat.
Before
And on the front of the boat, and on the back of the boat, and if you're rich enough and you have the side of the boat, that'd be cool too.
Wow. Port side and starboard side.
There you go.
Yeah, boat names.
We need a boom. Hey, you got the boom? Boom, chicka boom. Norm's on a boat. Hashtag Norm needs a fucking boat. All right, and with that, gentlemen, that concludes an episode of the Chicago 60 podcast. So before we can end the podcast, we have to do our favorite phrase of all time. Bear down and fuck the Packers. All right, everybody, we shall see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Most deaf. Peace.
Get this shit over. No, fuck this shit. Now I'm done
This
with this.
is the after party. Hey, Mom. Oh, 4 viewers, 3 viewers.
Hey, how
Let's
many
see.
people?
3 people.
We got
3
3
people. We will not turn this off until all of you log off. Just kidding. We're bye.
Until